nation's commercial capital. This is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun. Hello and welcome. Tonight, EFCC seizes travel documents of suspended Ministers of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, and her predecessor, Sadiya Umar Farouk, over alleged financial infractions. FCT High Court remands former Minister of Power and Steel Development, Olu Agunloye, in Kuje Correctional Center over alleged $6.2 billion fraud in the Mambila Power Project. And philanthropist and billionaire Mr. Femi Otedola presents a check of 1 billion naira to the Lagos State Security Trust Fund.
On business news tonight, Central Bank sacks boards and managements of Union Bank, Keystone Bank, and Polaris Bank over issues of non-compliance and other infractions.
On sports news tonight, Super Eagles of Nigeria land in the Ivorian capital of Abuja ahead of the African Cup of Nations scheduled to kick off this weekend.
From Abuja, the nation's capital, National Economic Council Committee on Crude Oil Theft vows to arrest the rising cases of oil theft in the country.
And in international news from London, Ecuador's president has ordered that criminal gangs be neutralized after days of violence culminating in an attack on a television studio.
Two days after her suspension as Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, has seized the travel documents of Dr. Betta Edu. The anti-graft agency also seized that of her predecessor, Sadiya Umar Farouk, as well as the suspended coordinator of the National Social Investment Program, Halima Shehu. The three women are required to report at the EFCC office in Abuja on a daily basis as part of investigations into alleged financial infractions running into billions of naira. The EFCC, however, says it has recovered about 39.8 billion naira out of 44.8 billion naira allegedly embezzled from the government account by Halima Shehu. Meanwhile, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, has arraigned a former Minister of Power and Steel Development, Olu Agunloye, before Justice J.O. Nwebuzie of the FCT High Court in Abuja. The former minister was arraigned on a 7-count charge bordering on fraudulent award of contracts and official corruption. He pleaded not guilty to all the charges when they were read to him. It will be recalled that the EFCC had declared Mr. Agunloye wanted in connection with a $6 billion power scheme involving the Mambila hydropower project. Mr. Agunloye, who was a minister under President Olusegun Obasanjo between 1999 and 2003, has been accused in the controversy about the Mambila power project, especially by his former boss, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, who accused him of illegally awarding the scheme without approval from the Federal Executive Council. However, Mr. Agunloye has denied any wrongdoing in the project and said that Chief Obasanjo was merely distorting information against him. At today's hearing, the prosecution counsel, Abba Mohammed, prayed the court for a trial date and to remand the defendant in a correctional center. His counsel, Adiola Adedikwe, informed the court that he has filed a bail application for the defendant and prayed the court to grant him bail and commit him to the custody of the EFCC. Justice Nwebuzie, however, ruled that the defendant be remanded in Kuje Correctional Center and set Thursday, January the 11th this year, for hearing on the bail application. Staying with legal matters, and the Supreme Court has reserved judgment on the two appeals challenging the victory of Governor Alex Otti of the Labour Party in the March 18th governorship election in Abia State of 2023, of course. Mr. Zokia Hiwe of the People's Democratic Party and Ikechi Emenike of the All Progressives Congress are in separate appeals challenging the decision of the Appeal Court of December 2nd, 2023, which affirmed the victory of Governor Alex Otti. The panel at the Apex Court, led by Justice John Okoro, also dismissed an appeal brought before it by the Social Democratic Party and its governorship candidate, Dr. Umar Ado, challenging the declaration of Umar Fintiri as Adamawa State Governor. Our correspondent, Emanuela Ekele, reports.
Abia and Adamawa States take center stage at day 3 in the week-long hearing of governorship election appeals here at the Supreme Court. The Abia governor, Alex Oti, scored 175,466 votes to defeat his closest rival, Oke Ahiwe of the People's Democratic Party, who scored 88,529 votes in the election. It's the contention of the PDP that the actual election result was manipulated in Obingwa local government area, where its 108,000 votes were reduced to 27,000 after the INEC returning officer headed to Abuja, only to return with the manipulated figures. Counsel to the PDP told the court that attempts to have the INEC returning officer resolve the inconsistencies in the results by using the IREV weren't heeded, and the said INEC officer also declined to obey a subpoena to testify at the tribunal. In his submission, counsel for the electoral body, INEC, informed the Apex Court that the PDP governorship candidate is coming with fresh issues that weren't pleaded when the case was first heard at the tribunal. The INEC counsel further highlighted that the purported manipulated result of the PDP was not attached to the original petition filed at the initial stage. In the case of the APC, counsel for Ikechi Emenike, who scored 24,000 votes, contended that Alex Oti wasn't validly nominated and sponsored by the Labour Party at the time of the election, and as such, praised the Apex Court panel to void the election. The 5-member panel, led by Justice John Okoro, resolved judgment on both appeals after taking the arguments.
But for now, we keep our fingers crossed. It's a question of resolving XDP 38 and SP 188, all of which came from the same party. And one shows that our clients got a clear 174,000 as against their own word 84,000. And whether the result that was not stamped, that was signed by a ward agent representing the local government agent, will suffice to overturn it. So let's keep fingers crossed and we pray for their lordship for God's wisdom.
The Apex Court had earlier dismissed the appeal of Umar Ado of the Social Democratic Party, challenging the victory of Ahmadu Fintiri. This is after counsel of the SDP candidate withdrew his appeal.
It had already been clear that we had 6,000 votes, not too much. And as officers in the Temple of Justice, we read the mood of the court. We know the court is very busy. And we said, fine. We took the hint and we withdrew the appeal. Hence, it was struck out.
The appellant, in their own wisdom, got the hint of the court and withdrew the appeal. So we did not object to the withdrawal of the appeal. Neither did we ask for cost. We allowed them to withdraw it, and that is very good. I'm excited.
Hearing on other governorship appeals continue at the Supreme Court on Thursday. Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the Adamawa SDP governorship candidate, Umar Ado, says he was not aware that his appeal has been withdrawn. Mr. Ado told Channels Television that the Supreme Court had introduced elements to the case which are not part of his appeal.
I was waiting to hear that at least the case has been adopted, it's been reserved for judgment. Now then, I saw you said that it's been drawn. Before I even comprehend what you were saying, the lawyer called me that they are out of court. I said, what's happening? You know, the newsmen are telling me that my case is withdrawn. He said, yeah, it is the court that, forced them to withdraw, but they are on the way to my house. So they came to my house and they sat down where you are, and what happened? And they gave me the entire briefing. They withdrew the case. And then I told them that you have no right to withdraw my case. You should have told the court, my lordships, this is not our matter. We are representing a client. We cannot, on our own, order for the withdrawal of this case. Kindly determine it one way or the other, or allow us to consult with our client. That's the thing that should happen. It did not happen. And I heard that my case has been withdrawn, and that the impetus of the withdrawal comes from the Supreme Court.
11 persons, including 5 members of the same family, have lost their lives in a boat accident in Rivers State. The accident happened on Monday when a wooden boat from Ngo, the headquarters of Andoni local government area, to Bonny capsized on the Bonny River after a turbulent wave. The 5 relatives were among the 25 passengers on board the boat. Their parents, Mr. Ayayi Festus and Mrs. Rose Festus, however, survived the incident.
I went to celebrate Christmas with my people. So on the way coming back January 8th, I know the people who have no money to pay transport with my family. Accidentally, our boat capsized in front of the LNG. Where there is no rescue. So about 11 people died. And out of that 11 people, 5 is my children. So we lost everything. And there is no way for me even to survive. Everything in my life, phone, money that I will carry to survive myself, everything.
Meanwhile, Governor Siminalayi Fubara has condoled with the families of those who lost their lives in the accident. The governor, in a statement by his media aide, Boniface Onyedi, assured that his administration will continue to work to ensure that traveling on the sea routes becomes safer. He says, quote, "I commiserate and condole with families of the victims of the boat accident that led to the loss of lives and near-death experienced by our brothers and sisters that were involved in the boat mishap," end quote. Businessman and philanthropist Mr. Femi Otedola has donated 1 billion naira to the Lagos state government through the state-owned Security Trust Fund. Represented by his first daughter, Tolani Otedola, Mr. Otedola said this gesture is to demonstrate his contribution towards a safer Lagos, while the state governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, thanked the donor and emulate Mr. Femi Otedola.
Providing security for Lagos, the commercial heartbeat of Nigeria, comes with its numerous challenges, one of which is funds. The protection of more than 20 million residents of the state is a collective duty. Businessman and philanthropist Mr. Femi Otedola feels he should be part of the solution. In line with this, he's donating 1 billion naira to the government.
Yes, sir. Very well, sir. Our Security Trust Fund.
His daughter, Tolani, spoke on behalf of her father. She highlights reasons why he's making the donation.
My father has taken an interest in this fund since its inception and has from time to time made contributions to it. Over the years, the fund has continued to live up to its mandate and has remained very relevant in the security architecture of our Lagos state. This is why my father has decided to commit another donation of 1 billion naira to the fund to ensure the continuity and critical work being done by the fund.
The Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who received the donation on behalf of the government, thanked Mr. Otedola for the gift and called on other well-meaning Nigerians to follow his example.
Let me express a very, very deep thanks and appreciation to Mr. Otedola. So it's a call that the 1 billion that he has donated is not the limit. In fact, there are no limits at all. We're putting it out there that he has not won the Guinness Book. Let others come and do more.
The Lagos State Security Trust Fund, established 16 years ago, has played a significant role in making funds available for the government for provision of security for the citizenry.
We're going to be calling on more meaningful Lagosians across the whole network to contribute meaningfully because it's a partnership. The federal government does its quota, the state government does a lot, and the citizenry of Lagos have to also help.
The 1 billion naira donation would boost not only morale for security agents, but would help residents repose more trust in the state's security architecture.
In part two after the break, National Economic Council Committee on Crude Oil Theft vows to arrest the rising cases of oil theft in the country. Do stay with us.
Come only in the bedroom. You're welcome, sir. You're welcome. Mom is there. See, you know the way. You will be fruitful. Amen. And I pray that your home will be blessed. Amen.
And we lived happily ever after.
New Nivea Dry Deodorant. With 72-hour reliable odor protection from Dual Effect formula. For a dry and fresh skin feeling. Feel dry, fresh, and confident every day.
Have you heard that you can now print glossy, high-quality, 7 pages, A2 size wall calendars for just 120,000 naira only, and A3 size for just 60,000 naira only, and it will be produced and delivered to anywhere of your choice in Nigeria within 96 hours, without even having to leave your room. Listen, this is how it works. Just open WhatsApp, send your pictures and other content, and you will receive your custom design online for your approval within 24 hours. What are you waiting for? Call our hotline for more details on 0913-156-5016, 0812-794-9323, or 0815-508-8279, or visit our social media pages. CAS Prints, digital printing at super speed.
Discover Lipton's flavorful and balanced taste. We pick fine quality tea leaves from selected tea gardens around the world to give you Lipton Yellow Label's flavorful and balanced taste in every sip.
Now, all of us like to chop better food. Food where they make body tranga and vegetables wey fresh like say tomorrow not day. We want make the chocolate sweet the way we go like am. No cubes. Now be the secret. Dem make am with correct ingredients like chicken, parsley, garlic, plenty iron come full and palm to make your chocolate pamba for you. Come the sweet well. Now be the cocoa. Make we carry salute, throw away give no.
Change your world by changing wetin dey your plate.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you are watching the News at 10 coming to you live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. EFCC seizes travel documents of suspended Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, and her predecessor, Sadiya Umar Farouk, over alleged financial infractions. FCT High Court remands former Minister of Power and Steel Development Olu Agunloye in Kuje Correctional Center over alleged $6.2 billion fraud in the Mambila Power Project. Philanthropist and billionaire Femi Otedola presents a check of $1 billion to the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. And Ecuador's President Daniel Noboa orders criminal gangs to be neutralized after days of violence culminated in an attack on a television studio. It's now time to head to the nation's capital, where Gloria Umezuke is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studios. Hello, Gloria.
Well, many thanks, Ayo. Here in Abuja, the National Economic Council Committee on Crude Oil Theft and Management, chaired by the Governor of Imo State, Mr. Hope Uzodinma, has vowed to arrest the increasing cases of oil theft in Nigeria. Addressing newsmen in Abuja after the inaugural meeting of the committee, which held behind closed doors, Mr. Uzodinma says the committee is putting measures in place to block all loopholes, creating room for saboteurs in order to shore up the nation's crude oil production. The meeting, which lasted almost 2 hours, was attended by governors of Cross River, Delta, Yobe, and the Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State.
We recall that last month, 21st December 2023, the National Economic Council of the country met, and among other deliberations, reconstituted the NEC ad hoc committee against crude oil theft. And this is consistent with the growing concern of stakeholders of this menace called crude oil theft that has reduced our production status drastically and has caused untold hardship to the country and almost tampering with the solvency margin of our currency. And today we met as the first meeting since after the reconstitution to develop a work plan that will be used by the committee to be able to confront this case of crude oil theft headlong. But our concern, which is the concern of all Nigerians, is to restore the Nigerian oil production's profile to either better what it used to be, or at the best, at least where it was, which is 2.something million barrels a day. And we are committed not to disappoint the expectations of the National Economic Council.
Still on security matters, 4 residents of communities in Buhari axis of the Abuja-Kaduna Expressway have regained their freedom. The victims who narrated their ordeal in the hands of their abductors say they were released after paying 17.5 million naira as ransom.
Bas Isiaku and Emmanuel Joel can barely walk or sit without support. They are among the 4 lucky victims who regained freedom from kidnappers in communities on the fringes of the Federal Capital Territory along the Buhari-Kaduna Expressway on Monday. With mixed feelings, families and friends listen as they narrate their ordeals.
They asked for a ransom of 130,800,000 naira. On the day they said, if I don't bring the money, I will be killed. God in his mercy worked a miracle. Yesterday, I saw family members and I praised God.
They released us because our family paid 17.5 million naira together with 5 bikes, 2 Hondas, then 1 Bajaj.
Both Jewel and Bauer spent 114 days in captivity, moving from one camp to another with so much uncertainty of their freedom.
Even if they are leaving from here to Katsina, it's either they will release some, the rest they will take them to the other Katsina. But they don't leave their camp empty. They will say the way they cannot leave prison empty, that is how they don't leave their camp empty.
On Friday last week, residents from 5 communities along the Buhari-Kaduna Road protested against the abduction of over 20 people in their villages. Listening to the experiences of Bauer and Joel, who just regained their freedom, only leaves more questions than answers on the country's security architecture.
Who is in charge of security in Nigeria that have refused to allow the people breathe? We pay a lot of taxes, our security military and all the agencies, every year in, year out,
We do a lot of budgets to secure have they secured the country?
We also spoke to the traditional ruler of the affected communities about a possible solution to the insecurity in his domain.
You are sending a military man, maybe it's from Lagos or Dodo Barracks, and you don't know Natal Chibdon. How do you expect him to succeed? There's no way he will succeed. By the time they add us with our people, some of us were born here and some of us will die here. So we know our places, we know where there are problems. So by the time they add those ones, those our youth, they will lead. Even the local vigilante, they should empower them.
Insecurity is on the rise in many rural communities along the Buhari-Kaduna Expressway, a development that residents say is unprecedented.
The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, has assured Abia State residents that the Nigerian military will continue to address the problem of insecurity in the state and ensure that economic activities thrive. Speaking during a working visit to the Abia State Governor, Dr. Alex Oti, the Army Chief pledged the continued support of the formations and other units of the Nigerian Army to the effort of the Abia State government in ensuring that peace reigns in the state.
I want to pledge the readiness, the willingness, and the availability of the formations and units of our 14th Brigade and even other Nigerian Army assets deployed around this area to support the government of Abia State to ensure that we continue to improve on the state of security and assist the state government to provide that enabling environment for economic activities and development to thrive.
On his part, Dr. Alex Oti, who acknowledged the tireless efforts and commitments the military men have invested in securing Abia State, said the desire of the Nigerian Army aligns perfectly with that of his administration and the Southeast governors.
If you do not have security, you can't talk about investment. You can't even sleep with your two eyes closed. So it's very, very important. And then the icing on the cake is your visit. And this visit has further strengthened our resolve to do whatever we can do to partner with you and work together to secure not just Abia, but the Southeast. I believe that in no distant future we'll be sitting down with you again as Southeast governors. Because if we solve the problem of security in Abia and there is insecurity in Ebonyi or Enugu or Imo, then the problem has not been solved. We have to collectively, and as Governors Forum, we decided that we have to collectively tackle insecurity in the Southeast.
Earlier, the Army Chief was in Enugu State, where he also met with the State Governor, Mr. Peter Mba. Governor Mba assured the Chief of Army Staff of his unwavering commitment to partnering with the Army in tackling the insecurity in Enugu and enable him deliver on his mandate. The Army boss told the Governor that the Army will take steps to address some dark areas which have been pointed out in a bid to expand the frontier of peace and stability in the state.
The Chief of Army Staff arrives at the Enugu State Government House on a working visit to discuss the security situation in the state and the way forward. As they're settling, the Army Chief of Staff tells the Governor that he's impressed with the existing partnership between the state government and the men of the 82 Division. He believes that more milestones can be achieved in terms of security if the government continues to show commitment.
With the briefing I've received from the GOC and the private chat I've had with His Excellency, the Army headquarters will take steps to address some dark areas that have been pointed out in a bid to expand the frontier of peace and stability in this state.
The governor, on his part, promises more partnerships to enable him deliver on this mandate of economic growth and development of Enugu State.
I also want to assure you on our path as a Enugu State government that we're going to continue to provide necessary support to sustain and indeed improve on the state of security in Enugu State today.
Governor Mbah also seizes the opportunity to request for an army barracks to be sited in Isuzo local government area to address the rising trend of kidnapping and other criminal activities in the state. As the army boss concludes his visit in the state, residents are optimistic that this interaction with the government will further help in checking insecurity and making the state a choice place for investors.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria's central bank sacks boards of Union Bank, Keystone Bank and Polaris Bank over issues of non-compliance and other infractions. That's in Business News. You'll join us again.
Welcome back. The federal government has assured existing and potential investors in the country of its commitment towards necessary policy framework to tackling the current challenges of foreign exchange for improved economy and gross domestic product. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Doris Uzoka Anite, disclosed this at the commissioning of the West African Soy Industries Limited and West African Cubes, subsidiaries of the Tropical General Investments Group located at the Flowergate Mixed Development Scheme, Shagam, in Ogun State. The two factories are part of the expansion drive of the conglomerate, which has terrace seasoning cubes, golden soya oil, bull parboiled rice, among others, as some of its products.
Congratulations, DGI.
The commissioning of two new facilities, the West African Soy Industries and the West African Cubes, are part of the expansion drive of Tropical General Investments Group. The event is attended by the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Doris Uzoka Anite, and the Governor of Ogun State, Prince Dakpo Abiodun, as well as members of his cabinet, high-ranking management of the TGI Group, chairman and members of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, among others.
Thank you again for honoring our invitation.
According to the company's executive director, Dimpanjam Roy, the Cubes factory is equipped with about 54,000 tons of cubes, which represents about 11% demands of the Nigerian market.
This capacity for West African Cubes is a total investment of about $70 million. The expansion is a one-third of that, so about $25 million in foreign exchange. And most importantly, 80% of what we use in this is actually locally available.
For the minister, who is touring industries and factories across the country, she commends the company for believing in Nigeria, promising a more conducive business environment.
I want to assure you that we will do everything, including the removal of roadblocks that would hinder carrying out legitimate business functions, for not just the TGI, but for the entire industry, for the economy. That is a promise that has been made by His Excellency, and we will fulfill that mandate.
In his submission, the Ogun State Governor promises improved critical infrastructure development, security, and favorable policy framework.
We are doing everything we can to ensure that we provide that needed enabling environment, other needed infrastructure, for providing security, because we know that without security, we can do all this. We are providing the policy framework, so we are not being frustrated with multiplicity of taxes.
The multi-million-dollar investment facilities located at the Flowergate Mixed Development Scheme, Shagamu, is a leading brand in fast-moving consumer goods, agricultural inputs, among others, with a cutting-edge technology.
Over a year after its formation, Optimera Energy Consortium, set up to help close Nigeria's energy gap, has begun its natural gas distribution project in the Lagos Free Zone. At the groundbreaking ceremony of the project, the managing director of Optimera Energy reiterates their commitment to invest in the country's natural gas infrastructure. This gathering marks the beginning of a new chapter in Nigeria's energy transition era, as Optimera Energy commences its natural gas distribution project in the Lagos Free Zone. Stakeholders, collaborative partners, government agencies and regulators talk about how the project, with its strategic location, will give Nigeria's natural gas infrastructure a boost while leading the country to a more sustainable and energy-efficient future. From here, they go further into the Lagos Free Zone for the official groundbreaking ceremony of the project, which is expected to deliver piped natural gas by the third quarter of 2024.
In the name of God the Father, God. All right? Amen. Amen.
For Nigeria and the conversations around energy sustainability, the energy transition, gas is that resource. Effectively, therefore, what we are doing is bringing in gas to then displace the liquid fuels that are being used. Currently, the zone is being powered on diesel largely and then some CNG. Our gas infrastructure is also then going to provide that cleaner, more environmentally friendly gas that will then offset the diesel that is currently being used and freed for other productive activities.
The Minister of State for Petroleum, Gas, commends Optimera Energy for its dedication to the project.
I'm really impressed with what Optimera is doing today, and we promise to give them all the necessary encouragement to make sure they complete it on schedule. With what we are doing, you are sure the gas integration that we are talking about to reach out to all the nooks and crannies will be possible. And this will be extended to other parts of the country, not only here.
Meanwhile, the CEO of the Lagos Free Zone believes the completion of the project will enhance the country's competitive positioning.
With piped natural gas, the energy cost can be globally competitive and make us a truly competitive manufacturing hub. With Lekki Port and a piped natural gas availability, I think these are the two critical catalysts which are needed to spur manufacturing and export-led growth, which our country needs.
Formed in 2022, Optimera Energy is a consortium made up of Falcon Corporation Limited, FHN Gas Limited, and ND Western Midstream Limited, committed to championing Nigeria's energy transition to cleaner fuels by leveraging on natural gas low-carbon resources. Governors under the platform of the Progressive Governors Forum are currently at the Imo State Governors Lodge in Abuja for their first meeting of the year. Governors of Kogi, Gombe, Lagos, Yobe, Kebbi, Jigawa, Ondo, Ebonyi, Sokoto, Kaduna, Ekiti and Kwara State are attending the meeting, which is holding under the leadership of Governor Hope Uzodimma of Imo State, who is the chairman of the forum. The Controller General of the Nigeria Customs Service, Mr. Adewale Adeni, has given an account of how the agency fared in the year 2023 while noting plans for the 2024 fiscal year. Mr. Adeni told journalists in Abuja that the service achieved a revenue feat of 3 trillion naira, 3,086 seizures and 52 convictions in the year 2023. Our correspondent Sarah Achimugu reports that the customs boss also gave a hint on the possible reopening of the Benin border.
It's a new year, and the management of the Nigeria Customs Service has gathered here to assess the agency's efforts for the year 2023. Among successes recorded in 2023 is the attainment of a 3 trillion naira revenue, marking a 21.4% increase over that of 2022. This feat, however, is not without some challenges.
This record is particularly remarkable given the challenge within the operational environment. Operational challenges such as the lower transaction volumes that we recorded during the year, issues of compliance management, inadequate infrastructure, and capacity gaps, which compounded by delays in policy implementation and socio-political factors. Also, the anxieties associated with a major election year, the prolonged cash crunch linked to the introduction of higher denominations of the naira, and which temporarily impacted the purchasing powers and the overall economic activities.
looking into the future.
Time now for some business news with Will Ibong.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Ayotunde, and welcome to Business News. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has dissolved the boards and managements of Union Bank, Keystone Bank, and Polaris Bank over the issues of non-compliance and other infractions. Now, the decision to dissolve the boards was taken after a meeting between the CBN and the board and management of the banks in Abuja. All three banks are involved in the special investigations into how the Apex Bank was run under former CBN Governor Mr. Godwin Emefiele, ousted from office in May last year. Meanwhile, the CBN has assured the public of the safety and security of depositors' funds. Now, latest report from the International Air Transport Association, IATA, shows that the air travel demand has topped 99% of 2019 levels. According to IATA, total traffic rose 29.7% in November last year. During the month under review, African Airlines had a 22.1% rise in demand. However, capacity increased by 29.6%, causing a 4.3% drop in the average passenger load factor to 69.7%, the lowest among regions. This means that on average, only 69.7% of the available revenue-generating seats were taken up in the market on each flight. Now to some company news. Listed financial services giant Stanbic IBTC Holdings has clinched the top spots in KPMG's West Africa Banking Industry Customer Experience Survey for 2023. This is according to the recently released results, which covered an extensive customer base, thousands of SME banking customers, and hundreds of corporate banking customers who participated in the research. Stanbic IBTC, which is a member of Standard Bank Group, emerged as a leader in the retail, SME, and corporate category of the KPMG's Customer Experience Score. The remarkable feat is a sequel to the group's impressive performance in the 2022 edition of the survey, where the bank claimed the number one spot in both retail and corporate banking categories. The survey, which is now on its 17th edition in Nigeria since its inception in 2007, attributes the bank's latest success on the KPMG survey to its unwavering commitment to innovation and a customer-centric approach. The rankings were based on the 6 pillars of performance, which are empathy, integrity, time, effort, expectation, and personalization. At the same time, the bank's strategic focus on customer onboarding, particularly through a customer entrenchment strategy, was highlighted as a pivotal factor in the recognition. Reacting to the recognition, the chief executive, Stanbic IBTC Holdings, Dr. Demola Shogunle, said, open quote, "This achievement is a testament to our profound commitment to providing exceptional banking experience to our customers. We are proud to be recognized for our efforts in retail, SME, and corporate banking, and will continue to innovate and prioritize our customers in all aspects of our operations," end quote. Earlier this year, Fitch Ratings reaffirmed the national long-term ratings of Stanbic IBTC Holdings and Stanbic IBTC Bank Limited at AAA and also assigned stable outlooks to the ratings. Now we head to the equities market, where the much-anticipated pullback after a consistent rally at the NGX took place today. Inijan Mekwa tells us more.
All right, Will, well,
for the first time this year, our excitement is a bit down because it's the first pullback in the market for 2024. Shaved off 634 billion naira from the market. However, year to date, we still have a gain of more than 5 trillion naira. So we don't have any cause to be angry. 1.40% off the index is what we had today. 82,024.38 market cap gone from 45 trillion to 44.885 trillion naira. Of course, those who made the most gain are also recording losses. Now, starting with the suit that stocks with over 1 trillion. We had about 2 of them. UBA joined this group this year, so we expect them to have some movement. Airtel was able to escape that, but Boa Cement, Seplat also escaped that. Dangote, GTCO, MTN, Zenith Bank, the big guys, they had a fall today. Profit taking caught up with them. Not just the suit, but also the figures. You know, these guys are also very liquid. MBN lost more than 9%, almost 10%. UBA, GTCO, Accessco, Zenith, all in the red. I mean, investors have to take profit at some point. So it's a red market, but I mean, it's to the joy of the bear, because for the first time in 2024, we seal the bear.
Thank you so much, Ini. I don't know how many were so happy to see the bear this year, but let's check out the closing numbers for the other stock markets around the world. And that's it on Business News. It's back to Ayotele for the rest of the news at 10.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial star 894 hash now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Many thanks, Will. Well, I sincerely like to apologize for the glitch in that report on the Controller General of Nigeria of Customs, talking about the outline or plans actually for the year 2024. That's the fiscal year for 2024. We'll give you now the full report of that story.
It's a new year, and the management of the Nigeria Customs Service has gathered here to assess the agency's efforts for the year 2023. Among successes recorded in 2023 is the attainment of a 3 trillion naira revenue, marking a 21.4% increase over that of 2022. This feat, however, is not without some challenges.
This record is particularly remarkable given the challenge within the operational environment. Operational challenges such as the lower transaction volumes that we recorded during the year, issues of compliance management, inadequate infrastructure, and capacity gaps, which compounded by delays in policy implementation and socio-political factors. Also, the anxieties associated with a major election year, the prolonged cash crunch linked to the introduction of higher denominations of the naira, and which temporarily impacted the purchasing powers and the overall economic activities.
Looking into the future, the service wants to deploy technology, increase collaboration on trade facilitation, the restructuring of its electronic auction platform, amongst other plans.
Currently, the places that are open are Seme, Idiroko, officially. Those are the borders that are open, Seme in Seme Command and Idiroko in Ogunwan Command. There are still discussions ongoing within the country, Office of the National Security Advisor, and with our counterparts in Republic of Benin to ensure that we put in place the requirements, have a shared understanding of what we need to do and how we have to monitor.
Owing to the impact of currency exchange variations on trade dynamics and revenue collection, the Nigeria Customs Service says it is strategizing in 2024 to regularly ensure optimal revenue performance. Sarah Chimugu, Channels Television News.
The Somali armed group Al-Shabaab has seized a United Nations helicopter along with about 8 people. Well, some reports say it had been forced to make an emergency landing. Here's Simon Pusey with more international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Ecuador's president has ordered that criminal gangs be neutralized after days of violence culminating in an attack on a television studio. Masked gunmen broke into public television channel TC's live studio during a broadcast, forcing staff to the floor. Police made 13 arrests following the attack, which injured 2 employees. At least 10 people have been killed since a 60-day state of emergency began in Ecuador on Monday. The UK Defence Secretary says UK and US naval forces have repelled the largest attack yet by Yemen's Houthi rebels on shipping in the Red Sea. The Iran-backed group launched at least 21 drones and missiles overnight, according to the US military. They were shot down by carrier-based jets and 4 warships. No injuries or damage were reported. The Houthis have not commented, but they have targeted vessels in the response to the war in the Gaza Strip. The boss of Boeing has admitted the plane maker was at fault after one of its aircraft suffered a door blowout shortly after takeoff in the US. No one was injured when the unused cabin door broke away from the Alaska Airlines flight from Portland, Oregon on Friday. The US has grounded 171 of the Boeing 737 MAX 9 planes since the incident. On Tuesday, Boeing's president and chief executive Dave Calhoun said the firm was acknowledging our mistake. The door plug, which fell away from the aircraft, weighed 27 kilograms and was used to fill an emergency exit that was built into the plane but not required by Alaska Airlines. A 5th and final batch of court documents relating to the sex offender Jeffrey Epstein has been released. Among the 1,400 pages of records are depositions with Epstein and his former girlfriend Ghislaine Maxwell. This last trove shows Epstein refused hundreds of times to answer questions, including about alleged blackmail of famous men. The documents have been released as part of a lawsuit brought by sex trafficking victim Virginia Giuffre. Rishi Sunak is facing a significant rebellion from Tory MPs over legislation to revive his plan to send some asylum seekers to Rwanda. Over 30 backbenchers on the right of the party are backing plans to change the bill next week to make it harder for people to appeal deportation. The amendments underline the scale of Tory division over the policy, which the Prime Minister has made a priority. Ministers insist the bill allows only a vanishingly small number of appeals. Those backing the amendments include former Tory leader Sir Ian Duncan Smith and a clutch of former cabinet ministers.
The bill does include what are known as notwithstanding clauses. These mean that our domestic courts will no longer be able to use any domestic or international law, including the Human Rights Act, to stop us removing illegal migrants.
The funeral service for prominent South African photographer and anti-apartheid activist Peter Magubane has taken place in Johannesburg. He was granted a provincial official funeral service, which is a special funeral service reserved for distinguished persons specifically designated by the President of South Africa. President Cyril Ramaphosa and the former President Thabo Mbeki were among the attendees. Mugabane died last week, aged 91.
Having read the many tributes that have been penned over the past week by people who worked alongside him and who he mentored, it is clear that the description of him as a legend is clearly a fitting one. We have in our midst today men and women from various generations of journalists, of which Peter Magubane, fondly known as Bra Peter, formed part. As we salute him, his contribution and his service to the people of South Africa, I also join in that salutation.
And the actor Adam Canto, who was known for films including X-Men Days of Future Past, has died at the age of 42. The Mexican star had suffered from appendiceal cancer. Canto was the National Security Advisor and designated survivor alongside Kiefer Sutherland, who paid tribute to the actor as such a wonderful spirit. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Sports is now. 3-time champions Nigeria have arrived at Abuja for the 34th edition of the Africa Cup of Nations final. Chartered aircraft that conveyed players and officials of the Super Eagles touched down at the Ivorian capital earlier today. Before the departure, the team were hosted to a send-forth ceremony by the Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu. And the Executive Committee of the Nigeria Football Federation has approved the reappointment of the Under-17 Women National Team technical crew led by coach Bankole Olowokere. The Flamingos will begin their race to qualify for this year's World Cup next month against Central African Republic. The tournament will be staged in the Dominican Republic in October. In tennis, world number 2, Carlos Alcaraz, returns to the courts for the first time since November, but ends in defeat. The Spaniard lost to Australia's Alex de Minaur 6-4, 5-7 in a charity match played earlier today at Rod Laver Arena in Australia. And that's Sports News Tonight. Is back to Ayotunde.
Thank you so much, Kelly. And the main news again. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission today seized the travel documents of suspended Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, and that of her predecessor, Sadia Umar Farouk, who are being probed for various alleged financial infractions. Also today, the FCT High Court remanded former Minister of Power and Steel Development Olu Aguloye in Kuje Correctional Center over alleged $6.2 billion fraud in the Mambila Power Project. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Do have a good night and please stay safe.